This is Base's Witness Program, and welcome to Sam once again, part 2 of your statement.
Yeah.
Of course, we've had part 1, and that was a lot about sort of
leading into
black magic and stuff like that, and entities, and how you survived that, and how you were warned you may not survive that, but you endured.
Yeah.
You were able to do that. So
and
you have certain qualities which can get over these things. It's
endurance. That's what they were saying. I felt my guides were saying, you'll have to go through it now. You've got no way out. Now, even though I felt like taking the way out.
You mentioned your guides for the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of people in this sort of healing business sort of thing talk about guides.
Yeah.
Are they voices in the head, or are they beings, or
it's
your twin flame, or whatever?
It's more in a sense that you're being guided. It's not voices or things like that.
You come a heck of a long way. What are you trying to get across here? This is very important, what you're saying. You're talking about how witnesses can survive this.
Yeah.
Help them.
Well, it's very much a case, number 1, endurance. Number 2, believe in yourself. Because if you stop believing in yourself, you don't want to believe in anything else. You want to believe in yourself. And knowing that we're all spiritual beings, we're all spiritual beings living a human existence, and it's our essence that is important, that God essence. So, if it's important enough for them to be attracted by it, it's important
them?
For us. The whole matrix reality system.
Okay. You're talking the same sort of stuff I'm talking about. Reality, matrix reality system. Okay, let's talk about that.
Exactly. Well, can I just say that how I got into that? Because that stage I was still dealing with the other stuff, and I'm saying that endurance is the key. All the psychic attacks. Now, at that time, I went to see somebody. He tried to help me. He was actually a very good healer. He dealt with this kind of thing, but he didn't really understand. I didn't understand that, because I thought he did know enough about it to do something about it. But in the end, it turned out something happened with him, and it wasn't to do with me. It was some other job that he was on, and there was some entity there that he was trying to clear from a building. I think it was in the south somewhere, some ancient building, and he came back from that job and said that he had something similar happen to him. But
in other words, he took on too much to handle it. We've got to know limitations in this business. Well,
I didn't feel like I had a choice. It just happened, and I was in. It's like jumping at the deep end. I didn't realise, and what happened was he was working on me, or trying to work on me, and then he had to stop for 3 months when this event happened, because there was a break between him working on me, and he'd gone to this place in London, and when he came back he said this had happened. I think he said the person he was clearing had 24 entities, but he didn't say what entities. None of us knew what. We were still grasping about, because he just called them entities. What level they were, I don't know, but whatever happened, something happened to him, and he then asked me for help, and I said, "You've got to be joking! I'm I'm still learning myself about this. I don't know anything. I wasn't in a position to help him because the attacks were so frequent. It was every night. It was like I wasn't getting any sleep. I wasn't eating. I was practically withering away. Yeah. That's why endurance is so important. I think I'd probably had about 3 nervous breakdowns during that time. I mean, I looked terrible. I looked absolutely awful. I was just about surviving. And when that happened to him, I was, well, I'm on my own. I don't know anybody. I did ask, but people didn't at that time. People just didn't know enough about it. They couldn't help. So you felt totally isolated and on your own. You felt like you just jumped in the deep end and you were left down there because nobody could help you. It's very lonely. It's very isolated, and that's exactly how you feel in your mind. You might not be, but to a certain extent you put yourself in that position as well, because you feel you have to detach from other people while it's happening to that extent. So it was literally and figuratively. He eventually
survived this. You've been put through an endurance test.
Endurance, yeah.
And you've survived it, and you've come here. Now, the thing which I'm trying to get to here is you've come here not just to tell a story, but there's a reason why you've come here, and really what I want to try and drill down as to why you've come this distance. This has cost you quite a lot of money to get down here.
Yeah.
And it's not just to tell a story about.
No.
So what's your message you want to really get to targeted individuals and witnesses?
It's, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. You can get through it. Believe you can get through it. I mean, I did a lot of meditation and praying in that time, even though sometimes I felt I was totally on my own, even though I felt there was no help, even though there was nobody to go to, nobody understood. And
the one person that was going to help you couldn't. So how did you, what within you did you draw on to get yourself through that crisis, that situation?
Must have been an inner strength to keep going, and that belief that things are going to get better. It's not going to be like this every day, although at the time it did feel like that. But every day is different, and I learnt by. It's like navigating. You're driving, and you want to learn how to best steer that ship, but you're not sure. You take knocks, bangs, and all that goes with it. But through your own perseverance and endurance and believing that you are going to get to the light at the end of the tunnel, and tomorrow could be totally different. And it's perception on reality, because there is a lot of perception, reality management going on, and these. I
have to say that's a phrase I came up with personally, independently years ago. Reality management system, the RMS.
Yeah. I think I heard it from you, because I don't know where else I got it from. Mine was the Matrix of Illusion. That's the one I was using. So for me to say perception management, I think you hit the nail, because it does describe very, very well how that system works, if you like. But at that time, I did a lot of research into. This is a wake-up call as well. It's not just how you get through these things. It's a wake-up call, because at that time I was researching the banks. While this was going on to a lesser degree, I was researching the banks. I found out about orgone energies. I was looking
we've
at
got
Tesla.
some of that around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to keep these things going. Yeah.
And because I'm into the healing anyway, that's where I was moving. It was more or less, I felt like I was being guided to look into that, to solutions.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going through this, I wouldn't like anybody else to, but God forbid if they did, they've got to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
And there are solutions.
And there are solutions.
Can you
give some
itemize those
solutions? Yeah.
I don't
Well,
want to take you too far off
organ.
your path, so
Yeah, I'll get that in because it's important. Organ energy. That's one thing that worked for me, but it doesn't work totally for you. You have to be doing the meditations.
Yeah, the important thing about a lot of this stuff is it's your own intention, which is one of the most important weapons. It's how you intend.
Yes.
It's how you put your personal intention into that. And this is how the tricks work. Our intentions are tricked with. And then we can use those things can be then turned against us in the same way you can use that against these creatures or whatever they are.
Don't lose your path, because what can happen is it can knock you off your path. Because I was knocked so many times this way and that way. I and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what was my intention before that happened.
Now that's very important.
So I went
knew what
back.
you wanted to do.
Yeah, and the intention was to do healing, was to help people. I was doing that before anyway. So it's getting back to that path. Don't let it knock you off, because there's so many things that could knock you off that path, and you end up doing something completely different that you don't particularly want to do. Yeah. It's not you, and I think at the moment there's a lot going on with the Black Ops. Now that was heavily in there at that time as well. So
the so-called powers that be, Black Ops.
Yeah. Well, I was researching it at that time as well. Now be careful when you're researching it, because I went right down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
I might as well be in the super soldier, because I read that much about it that it was like going into that dark space.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't even want to think exists, but it does. So I became very I wanted to not wake people up, but I wanted to do the research as well. You've got to do a bit of research. You can't.
Where is this? Can you give any hints as to what kind of research that you actually found? What did you find?
Well, I went and I think a lot of people do know this now. At that time, they didn't know a lot about it. The banks, how they operate, Illuminati controlled. I was getting letters from the Illuminati to come and join them. And
these real letters? I mean,
there was
witnesses who've come up with these letters.
Yeah.
And they look a bit, frankly, a bit, made up in a primary school somewhere.
I think these were so-called clairvoyants, but I think some of them were involved in the Illuminati.
Now, I think it's important to try and distinguish between the Illuminati and the bad guys, because the illuminated ones are the wise ones who've gone through endurance and trauma and survived it. That's not bad.
No.
But there is, because they are the people who have gone through that.
Yeah.
These creatures, or the predator, goes for them first, thereby getting control of everything underneath.
I wouldn't say that, because I wasn't. No. I've never been in the Illuminati, so I think it was to do. I think they tend to go after people who are perceived as a threat in one way or another, and because light workers and psychic people are always. I was always ahead You know, the dreams I had were always forward in time. They were always ahead. I used to give people psychic messages. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'd get messages passed through the dream. So I lived in dream time, really. And I was very... astral travel.
Yeah.
It's a big thing to me. I'd go places.
That's
and then
what we hear with Christine, Joanna Hart, and
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
Dan McBolan and people are all talking about the
Yeah.
the so-called astral.
Yes.
Can you really sort of let people know what that really is, what it means? The
Well,
astral.
The astral is just another dimension of reality. If you see that as a third dimension, the next one above it would be the astral. But the astral has different levels in that. Everything is built up from in different stratas, strains, if you like. It reminds me, when I think about it, it reminds me of how a rainbow is built up, and the vibrations are different. The colours are different, the vibrations are different. Depends on what vibration you end up in. But you can often, when you come out into the astral, you've got to be a bit careful because you get noticed because you're doing a lot of...
Now, what gets you noticed and who does the noticing?
It's mainly the beings that are in control.
And who or what are they?
Well, lower fourth dimensional entities. Because
what's a lower fourth dimensional entity? Because we're getting, I mean,
well,
to the layman, what are we dealing with here?
You're just dealing with another level of duality, but on a different level. So if you've got the third dimensional level of duality, then you've got the fourth dimensional level of duality. The fifth, it peters out, although I've heard fourth, fifth sometimes can jump to the fifth if they have that ability, but it's not as much, as far as I know, it's not, that has been dealt with by the fifth dimensional beings that are operating in our space-time continuum at the moment, or in the fourth dimensional space-time.
Are you talking about demons, greys, the spider people, reptilians?
I'm talking about them all because the matrix of illusion, I'll call it, is made up of different levels, and during that control mechanism is on those different levels as well. So when you're doing your spiritual work, you have to be careful when you reach those other heights, because the fourth dimension is another level, but you've got duality playing itself out on that level as well. So you've got it on the third dimension.
You call that good, bad?
Yeah.
The sort of male,
dark
female.
and light.
Yeah,
dark and light, you know, playing itself out, trying to win over and keep control of that particular dimensional level. So there's just many different levels of it. I think what I was dealing with was a combination of those levels right down to the third dimensional level, because the Black Ops, there was a lot of interference from those black helicopters coming in and out of dimensional realities. So they obviously had fourth.
The problem with the black helicopters is that anytime anybody's blah 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 whatever's going on, the black helicopters are there. But these things cost money. You know, they don't sort of just wait for you to have a bit of a thought and then they send out a black helicopter.
No.
Surely there are other they're like a front for something else. You just perceive it as a black helicopter.
Well, a lot of people see black helicopters, and I saw.
Yeah, I mean,
myself,
any helicopter's black if you see it with the sun on the wrong side. It's basically a black.
What happens is, in the, I'll call it the reality control matrix, they work in tandem with each other.
Yeah.
So in order to keep control. And remember, a lot of these entities and beings have been in control of this planet for a long, long time. I mean, they had problems in the past, right back into history, from the beginning of Earth time. These beings have been playing out and tricking, and they're tricksters almost. You know, they they can make you believe in this duality to keep you here.
And, are we talking archons, or what is it?
People would call them archons, but there's different. Just like we have different levels of, there's different levels of the Illuminati, and each one hides itself from the other. So the higher level doesn't know what the lower level's doing. It's very contained in that strata. That's how it's maintained. Because I used to wonder about that. How can they maintain this system of control without anybody knowing? And that's how they do it. Each system, it's been devised it's very clever, very, very clever, and they are very clever. But they have, I suppose they had to be to be like that in order to maintain systems, because you know that is the way they work. Very kind of secretive, but each level only has a certain amount of knowledge, and then the next level up will have a bit more knowledge, and depending on how you play it, you will rise up the levels.
Is that sort of a bit like the game Snakes and Ladders?
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, it's a bit snake and laddery. That kind of, you know. They have certain tests, and if they pass them, they go on to the next level. But you've got to be pretty hardcore by the time you get to, is it 33 degrees Mason? You've got to be pretty. You've got to have done everything and followed every rule that they've laid down and not question. It's like, to them, that's blind faith.
Yeah.
You know, they believe it totally. It's brainwashing, really, because I think if they knew the truth, they wouldn't. And a lot of it's played on egos,
yes.
Mind control, egos. Oh, that person wants to get to the top. Oh, we can really, because they did the same with me. I was getting these letters, and it was all about ego. You know, we can get you anything you want. You can have this. You can have that. And I thought, who are these people? And then there'd be a little thing on. We can get you
a bigger
indeed.
badge than the other guy, and you can wear a cloak with a different colour.
Oh,
that makes
yeah,
you very important.
That's sure.
I mean, they do this with the middle classes. You're not allowed to have an XL. You can only have a car which is just an L. You can't afford an XL. You're out of station. You've got to maintain. I mean, this is baloney.
That's their rules, and I don't play by rules very well. So I after a bit I clocked on. I thought, I know what you're up to here, and I just ignored the letters when they came. I ripped them up, put them in the bin, and I don't really get them anymore. I think they've just given up with all that, because they know I'm not going to fall for it. But it's very deceptive, which that is the world of duality. It's very deceptive. Well, it'd have to be for us to believe it, and we're believing it into existence by.
Exactly. Yeah, they use us to create the world through their deception.
Yeah, and we're maintaining that deception, in a sense, by believing it, because once you believe it, you give it that power, don't you?
Yes.
So, and that's like giving your power away. That's why I think it's so important with look, do the research, look into the banks, the way they operate. Everything is corrupt. I mean, one day when I was going through all this and doing the research, I suddenly had this flash. It said, Sam, everything it's corrupted. You need a completely start at 0 point, because you need a completely different system. This one doesn't work, and you can see it reflected in society now. I mean, there's so many people dissatisfied with the way the governments are running. They're all corrupt. They're all hands in pockets. It's the 1%, 99% don't count. You know, I mean, I'd say to people, ask yourself, is this what you want? Is this what you really want for yourselves and your children? Because the education system's corrupt. Hospitals are corrupted. Banks are corrupted. I'd like to say to people, you know, people who are going through anything of this sort, and you know, I feel like I hit rock bottom and I came back up again. The thing is, it can be done, and believing in yourself, but also do a bit of research.
Okay, I will just do it a second. This is take 2 for the other camera.
Do your own research. You don't have to believe in what I'm saying. Go off and do some research yourself into how the system actually does work. And don't swear like Miles is doing there. The thing is, when you start waking up, you do get you will get annoyed, you'll get angry, you'll feel like you've been duped, basically. Well, we've all been duped. It's a massive game of illusion that's going on. So you just, as you go along, pick another way to deal with it. And that is
how do you do that? Pick another what?
Like believing in yourself. Find out about healing, but be careful there as well, because you can get duped there. It's as I found out, it's
in what way?
If you can develop your senses, and that means meditating and doing a bit of work on yourself. If you can develop that, you'll know, you'll come to a knowing, or a space where you can detect if somebody's, you know, basically, to use your word, mild, bullshitting. You'll be able to see through it, you know. And that, I mean, it took me a while to learn that, because I fell straight into the thing of illusion. I believed it, a lot of things, even though I would say to people as well, when you feel in your gut that something is not right, or you feel you're making a decision about something and it does not feel right, something about it, go with that gut feeling. Don't ignore it, because I did it a few times. Big mistake.
Now, can you describe the dilemma that you faced when that happened, so that it can help others see the same pattern?
Yeah, well, basically I thought, in the healing game, that matrix continues. So you get people in the healing, doing the healing work, that are into their egos. So they do the healing for the wrong reasons, maybe to garner support, or to focus tension on themselves. You know, it's an ego thing, and that can be very deceiving. And it can also, a lot of these people are very magnetic and very charismatic, but the Illuminati are very charismatic. That's why people fall for them. And I remember reading once that a channeling, they were saying that the Illuminati and the dark forces can be very charismatic types, so you can actually be deceived into thinking that that is a good thing when actually it's just the opposite, and that's how they draw you in. It's the charisma and the, you know, ego and charisma can draw people in, and that's how I got drawn in, because I didn't know enough about that yet. I was naive. I was naive in a way.
Well, I mean, the basis of this is a learning experience. So
exactly.
If you don't experience these problems, you're not going to understand the reason why you need to learn from them. You're not going to understand
them, and they're there for you to learn from. So each experience I now look at as each thing along the way I look at as an experience, as in what can I learn from this, and what is it telling me, or what is it showing me, you know. So there's always something in there, even in your darkest hour there is always something to learn from that. And I probably wouldn't be sat here talking today as I am on that subject if I hadn't gone through it myself.
Now this involves an important ability to detach from the problem, to observe it, so you see it in the round and understand it, so you can do the learning. But if you're inside the problem, a lot of people can't get out of the problem to see that you're in the problem. They get overwhelmed.
That's right.
So how did you reach out of that? How did you do what you've just described? Because that's easier said than done.
I actually started doing research and went back to intention. What is my intention here?
Yeah.
And I knew what my true intention was, but I was being tossed about all over the place, so that I almost didn't know what my intention was anymore sometimes. I mean, it can get you to that place.
Or some people have mentioned, don't lose your focus.
Yeah. Keep that focus, you know where you're going, and head in that direction, and keep going there, because you'll learn a lot. You might have still some experiences to go through, but that's what life's all about. It's a learning experience, a learning curve, if you like, you know. And I took a lot from that. I think people who tend to, I'm a bit of an optimist, so I try to be optimistic about everything, even though it's terribly bad, or you know, you might be in that space, but if you're positive, look at the positive, take out from it the positive, and see what you can do with that, rather than focusing on the negative. Just learn from it what you can and detach, but keep positive. Keep that positivity there.
For a lot of people that's very difficult. They get depressed, they lose. Well, is that losing their way?
Not necessarily, because even that's a learning thing. I mean, I had to go through that depression. I'm not, you know, I mean, I went right down to the bottom and came back up, if you like. But I went down to the bottom and came back up several times. It wasn't cut and dried. I think now it's easier for people. When I went through it, not enough healers knew about this, what was going on, you know, so nobody could help me. So I've now had to learn through my own experiences, rather than, it would have been easy for me, well, if healers were around at that time, it would be an easy option to just go to a healer and let them sort it all out.
Yeah.
But I didn't because I thought, have I got to learn through this? And what have I got to learn? And take it back with you. Take that back with you, you know. Always take something out of it, the positive, even though it might be very negative. Take the positive out of it.
How do you mean by that? You take the best
the experience.
Out of it?
Yeah. It's a case of when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And that's the way I looked at it. Okay, life's giving me lemons, so I'm going to make something out of it, you know.
It's very easy to do that. It seems to be something that happens.
Right. You're not Leo by any chance, are you?
No, I'm an Aries.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, good. Does that explain a lot?
It does. I've got a lot of Aries in my family.
Oh, my God.
But they're all women.
God help us all.
There's no men. All the women are just... the corruption, it's endemic.
Yeah.
So you've got to bear that in mind when you even go to the hospital.
Oh, well, yeah.
Which I had a few experiences there as well.
Health service, yeah, the way that's made.
Yeah. And the education system is not an education system, because if we were learning the things we should be learning, then we'd be a much better world.
Well, Cara St. Louis...
yes, I listened to her and I thought she was excellent.
Yeah.
It's excellent. And what she said about the Magi nation, the Magi, was hit home to me, because myself and my sister were very imaginative at school, and when we wrote English, I remember my sister, she wanted to write a book, and she was 10, she started trying to put a book together, and she got about 30 pages or something like that on a clapped out typewriter, and I thought she was amazing.
My God.
And
well, if you got 30 pages out of a typewriter, it's not that clapped
yeah
out.
Well, she was only 10 at the time, and we had nothing else to do. So I remember going to school, and the teacher we had was called Miss Chambers. I liked her. She was out the box. She was one of those. She had a crazy hairstyle with a scarf wrapped round. She looked like a 60s person from the 60s. And she really encouraged people with the imagination. And the thing was, my sister was very good at writing. And then when I followed into that school year behind, she discovered, oh, well, she's like a sister. So she made me swear in front of the class, and this was several times as I went up the years. Have you written this? Who's written this? It's your sister, isn't it? I said, no, I wrote it. So she made me stand up in the class and swear that I had written that piece. And it was about a cat. A black cat, and the way it moves.
Yeah.
She said, you haven't written that. You'd have to have imagination. What, am I that dumb? I can't write a cat. And when I got later on in the years, when I got further up in class, I had the same problem, and it was a completely different teacher. And he said to me, You've not written that, your sister's written that. I said, no, I've written it. But the thing was, we were very alike. So, in the way we thought, in the way we wrote.
Were you in the same class together?
No.
Okay, right.
No, but people thought we were twins.
Right.
Because we look alike, we talk alike, we think alike, that comes about from having so many past lives together. But yeah, it was funny, it was laughable, but I was thinking about what Cara St. Louis said about imagination, and I thought, yes,
dangerous imagination.
True.
That was the thing. Is it breaks program.
Yeah. And it was very much they do suppress that in children.
Now, there is a basis witness, and I won't mention her name, but her daughter, she was holed up, the mother was holed up in front of the headmistress, or
Right.
headmaster.
Really?
And
Yeah.
she was told that her daughter wasn't going to go anywhere because she'd been told to paint a tree.
Yeah.
And the problem was that she'd used her imagination
Yes.
to put an apple on the tree. And this was absolutely forbidden. And she was holed up. Your child did not do what she was told. She used her imagination, and you're not allowed to use that.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. They're doing that a lot now, aren't they, in schools? Yeah. If you don't follow rules, they're not, anybody...
Well, this is exactly what the Christian education system is. It's programming.
Yeah.
Obey.
Anybody who thinks too far outside people is, that's when they keep.
Well, in terms of that education, there's a teacher here who runs a particular establishment here, and he used to teach English. Right. Well, he used to teach a lot of things, but he actually ended up teaching his O-level notes to a current A-level class.
Really?
And he was told, you're teaching them too well.
You're joking.
So,
really?
And this happened on several levels.
Yeah.
So what he'd been taught some time ago, he was, and then he'd simply use those notes. What was much more advanced, which was a much lesser level,
right,
was told in today's world, that's too much. You got to cut that down.
Gosh. So there is a suppression thing going on.
So there's a massive suppression.
It is, and I really think,
So bearing in mind that people who are suffering through that education, how do you think they're going to survive if they're going to be constantly dumbed down? What can they do to try and win through without actually getting told off by the headmaster?
Right. Think for yourselves. If you think outside the box, don't be scared of doing that. And I think more mothers need to be looking at their children, and when they think like that, challenge. What's the lady that challenged the school system? I've forgotten her name.
I don't know.
You had her on. Names on the tip of my tongue, but don't be afraid to challenge the teachers and say, look, my child, just because my child thinks like that, there's nothing wrong with that.
Are you talking about Marie? Is this recent?
Yeah, she had problems with her children at school. It's a few years though. It's a few years ago. Very outspoken.
Yeah.
Very challenging.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to. If we don't challenge this, it'll. They're winning. Basically, if we don't challenge it, they're winning. Because I challenged the banks years ago. When I found out how corrupt they were, I challenged them. I took on the Bank of Scotland. And the thing is, I said, if you don't stop, this is very corrupt practice, and we all know what you're using the money for. So if you do not stop this, I'm going to spread it all round Manchester.
And what were they doing, and what did you spread?
Well, I knew there was the managers at the top were getting very highly paid, and there was a lot of corruption, and a lot of them were Illuminati members and things like that, and they were...
How did you know that?
I did the research. This is it. You've got to do the research into this. I was doing it for years.
So this is available online, or did you go to libraries somewhere?
No, I did it all online. I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning researching I'd researched all the stuff on the dark stuff, and then I went to how the system is run, the banks, the education system, the some of the hospitals, and I just realised something just clicked. It was like that jigsaw puzzle, you know, when you just need one more piece and it all fits together. It was like a proverbial light bulb. It just went off, and I just thought, right, okay, I get it. This is what you're trying to show me. This is, you know, the matrix of illusion. This is it.
I mean, are you being guided by some kind of guardian angel, so to speak?
Yeah.
I mean, when you mentioned what they're trying to show you. That's right.
Well, I feel like it's more than that, Miles, because I've seen a lot of UFOs.
Well, we'll have to talk about all that in part 3.
Right. Okay.
Tell us more while we're running.
Okay, well, when all this was happening to me, especially when the black helicopters and all that started happening, and microwave being beamed, and, you know, my health took a dive.
So you survived the targeted individual status as well?
Yeah, it was heavy. It was really heavy.
Well, you have to talk about that in part 3 as well. Yeah,
because the hospitals will tie in a little bit with that, but it was, I thought, that's it, I'm finished here. They couldn't finish me on that level, so they're trying on this level. But I knew it was because I think that they were, and still are, tapping into what I was researching, and all the stuff I was researching was uncovering all this.
You see, the thing about when you research things, they know what you're looking at.
They know what you're looking at, yeah. And I was heavily into it. I was on the computer till 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes. I was fascinated, but at the same time disgusted. So I just kept researching. I did have some information for you on the NSA, but I'm not sure where I put it. Because I was going to give it...
They probably know where you put it.
Yeah, they probably do. I was clearing out the cupboard, and I know it's in there somewhere, but I will send that to you because it's already in an envelope, a brown envelope. And I was going to give it to Joanne, but something said, no, give it to Miles.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we've got 2 hours done.
Yeah.
That's
now,
good.
You talked about the UFO. You're going to talk about the UFO experiences in part 2, 3.
Oh yes,
and
that's it. I put thanks there, but hang on. Yes.
And also,
UFOs.
we're going to talk about your targeted individual by microwave stuff, surviving all that.
Yeah.
You're a pretty tough woman.
Well, it's not. I had no choice. I had to continue, and the only way I could do it is keep doing my meditation. I was doing a lot of prayers.
No.
But I'm not going to go into the UFOs now because that's part of it as well.
Yeah, we'll leave that for that. Now you've mentioned your meditation.
Yeah.
There's lots of different types of meditation. What sort of meditation were you doing which got you through? I mean, is a meditation really something which is the kind of thing which is unique to the individual?
Yeah.
Or is it
I think it is an individual thing because I was doing the purple flame.
Yes, the violet flame.
The transmutation, but I was also doing the golden light. Now the golden light is quite high vibration, so I was doing that as well. So I was doing both of them at the time. At the moment I'm not doing the purple flame, I'm doing the golden light. But there's still...
What's the difference in the colours? Is it spiritual levels, or is this something which is unique to you really in the last couple of minutes? I'm trying to see how other people
I think
adopt
it is a uniqueness. That's why I would suggest to people follow your own intuition, guidance, inner knowing.
It's a little bit like crystals. Everybody thinks you take that crystal. Each crystal has different characteristics for different people.
Yeah. And the crystal will talk to you and let you know where it wants you to put it. You know, all experiences are unique, so there's no fast and hard rules to this.
It's down to you and your inner path. And
exactly.
what suits you.
Yeah, and everybody to their own in that. What's that word? To be to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Sam.
Yeah.
It's running late, and you've had a long day.
Yeah.
And it's great to see you. This is really something to help other people get through all these different things which are thrown at us these days.
Yeah. And there is a lot. There is a lot. You know. I know there's a lot of targeting going on, but there are ways around it.
Good. Well, we'll go with that tomorrow in part 3.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
You're very
for coming
welcome.
the whole way down from Manchester down here to Devizes.
Yeah.
On a rainy day.
I know. Well, I tried to bring the sun.
Well, it helps the crops grow down here, and we need it. Well, thank you so much, and Sam, that's great. And of course, people do need to look at your interview that you did with Joanne a couple of years ago for the complete picture.
And take what you need from it.
Yeah.
Not everything's for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And that's it on part 2 of a basis witness statement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely.